Come on, man. You know what you're made of. Get up. You got this. Everything in life is worth fighting for.
And now live from Hello and welcome to the Joseph Hurley Show. Today we have a great show for you. It's March 25th, 2022. Now, today I'm going to tell you a story that most of you will never forget. You know, it's a great story, and it has a phenomenal point to this story. And we'll get into that story in just a moment, but first I kind of want to cover some other things. In going through the 7 spiritual laws of success, there are mechanisms, there are strategic steps that you can take in almost every sales process. But until you grab your mind and until you get control over your mind, you will always have issues in your life. And you say, well, Joseph, that's very simplistic. Well, listen, this goes a lot deeper than what's just right here at the surface. Your paradigm, what you believe, what you think to be real, is real. To you, it is very, very real. In order for you to change your outcome, you have to begin to put something else in. So in other words, if you don't like the harvest or the crop or the way your life is working, then you need to change what you're putting into your life. You need to change the seeds that you're putting into your life, because everything operates off seed time and harvest time. Cold, heat, winter, summer. As long as the earth remains, this is a principle. What I'm teaching you are foundational principles in order to help you in life. The reason that salespeople watch this show is I'm going to help you learn how to sell. Now, selling is not convincing somebody of something that they don't want. That is not the definition of selling. What you're doing is you're identifying a product, a good, a services that someone else needs. That's what selling is really all about. And you know, most salespeople, one of the hardest things that they have to deal with in their life is who a prospect is and who is not a prospect. And whenever you try to fit a square peg in a round hole, all you get are splinters. Now, what does that mean? That means that if the prospect doesn't fit the mold or the product that you have to sell, get a new prospect. And a lot of salespeople have a hard time with that. A lot of salespeople are defeated before they ever begin to sell. Now, I heard of a story of a salesperson that is in the real estate business, in the Texas real estate business, and they felt uncomfortable in taking a particular listing because they thought the price was too high. Well, what was really going on is a paradigm shift inside the salesperson's mind. In Texas, there is very little inventory, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Very little inventory. And if the price is a little bit high, it's okay as the salesperson to go in and say, look, our market analysis comes back and says, here's the price. Your home's not worth what you're asking for. And just because they're asking for $50,000 or $100,000 more, let the market figure that out. But the salesperson had judged that situation before they ever went into the listing. Why? Paradigm shift. Now, all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to get a sale. The subconscious mind is fighting against what's getting ready to happen. That's why there's uncomfortness. And I've seen this in salespeople all my life of what's wrong? Deer in the headlight. What are you thinking? Let's go do this. Why are you holding up? Well, they're having a problem. If you want to do anything in life, you must be controlled by the inside, not by the outside. Now, I'm going to share with you some great things today out of the book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, this particular piece that I'm going to share with you, after my story, of course, is something that I've been thinking about, I've been working on, I've been contemplating, meditating on these items that I'm going to share with you right here. But let me explain this story to you. Two men met on the street corner of life, one with experience and one with money. At the end of the meeting, the man with the experience had the money, and the man with the money had the experience. Now, what does that mean? Well, your fourth principle out of the 7 principles of spiritual laws of success, your fourth principle here is you must be both people. You've got to have the experience, either physically or in your life, in your imagination. And let me say this, God gave you an imagination. Now, your imagination is there for a reason. Do you know that before time ever was, we were all imaginations in God's mind? It says it in the Bible. He saw the end from the beginning. He had to use his imagination in order to do that. Your imagination is so powerful that you will have self-talk. Now, some people will say, oh, well, I don't talk to myself. Yes, you do. Everybody does. You just aren't aware of it. Do you know that a majority of the time that you drive across town, that you're not even driving consciously, you're driving subconsciously? You get all the way across town and think, wow, how did I get here? I mean, I remember getting here, but you weren't in the moment as you were driving. Why? Because a lot of our lives are lived on autopilot. And in order for you to change your paradigm, you must change your thinking. In order to do this, you have to see yourself in your imagination, in your heart. And a lot of times that takes closing your eyes, getting away from the noise, the static, and everything else. I listened to a tape a couple of weeks ago from a guy, and he talked about 3 o'clock in the morning. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, he was making the case that the universe is sending answers to you. Well, why is that at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, I'll tell you. Our phones aren't going off. The buzzers, the bells, everything else, all the interruptions. You know, we have these things that are called smartphones. And they've done nothing but make us dumb. And they interrupt you constantly. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, where everything is quiet and you can hear, this man was saying that the universe is sending answers to you. You can use God or you can use the universe, either way. It's the still small voice in your life that if you will be quiet and you will listen, God will show you everything you need to do. Everything. If you will ask, the door will be opened and you will have great success. Now let me read these principles to you. There's 6 steps that are super important about money. And here's the important part about money. And most people will equate money to success. And that's not true. Just because you have a lot of money does not mean you're successful. There are a lot of people that have a lot of money right now that are going through some really bad times. And they're going to lose their money, and they think money is what it's all about. And that's not true. You see, we are a tri-beings that we're spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. You can't only feed your body and ignore the other two. You can't only feed your spirit and ignore the other two, or your soul and ignore the other two. It's important that you feed all 3 of them and that you feed them equally. Well, the spirit does not need carnal food. The spirit needs spiritual food. No more than your body needs spiritual food. It needs physical food. So I'm going to cover some of these things in Think and Grow Rich because I think they're so important for us. Because most successful salespeople have gone through really hard times in order for them to learn how to be successful. Now, you can either learn it through teaching, or you can learn it the hard way. As my brother says, there ain't no lesson like a bought lesson. Well, he's right. Except if you'll pay attention and learn this, you won't have to do it the hard way. So, look at this. This is on page 40 of Think and Grow Rich. And here's what it says. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ship and cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can one be sure of maintaining the state of mind known as a burning desire. to win, essential to success. You have to have a burning desire. You have to have a burning desire in order to be successful, in order to win in life. If you are indifferent, if you are lazy, and that's the problem with a lot of people. They're indifferent. Yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. I'm indifferent. Either way, doesn't matter. And that's not true. It does matter. And it's the little things in life that matter. Because it's the little foxes that spoil the vine, is what Jesus said. And there's a reason he said that. Because it's the little things in life. We are building a tremendous product and a tremendous service to the American people, to American businesses. And our associates that we hire are top-notch. If that associate is selected, if we decide to work together, we both have parameters. We both have guidelines on each other. I'll do this, you do that. If you do that, then I'll do this. It's a relationship back and forth in order for everything to work correctly. Part of that relationship is that they have to be willing to study. They cannot be indifferent. They have to be willing to learn, be willing to stretch, be willing to do. Because without that, they're not going to be good for our clients. Matter of fact, if you're not willing to study, if you're not willing to stretch and to grow, then you're going backwards. And if you remember the story that Jesus talked about, that Mary came in with a very expensive ointment, and she poured it over him for his burial. And Judas complained about that because Judas was a thief. He said, hey, she could have sold that and the money put in the treasury. Judas wanted the money for him. But here's something that's very, very important in this story. Is Jesus said, leave her alone, because what she's doing will be told all over the world of what she's done. But Jesus said this, the poor you will always have with you. Now that poor is not without money. It's not what he was talking about. That's not the meaning of that word poor. It's the uninitiative. It's the people who are indifferent, who have no dreams, no visions, not curious about anything. When you ask them a question, they go, I've never thought of that before. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, you can just talk to people to figure out where they are real quick. Are these people awake? Or are they just going on autopilot in their lives? So let me get to the 6 top things here that are very important. In order to be successful, in order for you to win in life, you need to have these 6 items. And it's number 1, fix your mind on the exact amount of money you desire. It's not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. When we interview people, we ask them what their goals are. They can't tell us. Other than something of, hey, I want plenty of money. Well, I want better for my family. Really? How are you going to do that? They don't know. Most of them don't have a plan. Most of them don't realize that they're planning to fail by not planning. Okay, back to this. Be definite as to the amount. Why? You'll never attract money to you if you're just wishy-washy. Why? Why is this important? Why do you need to be definite and you need to write it down? When you're expecting a miracle, most people don't even know if they get a miracle. They won't know it. Why? They don't write it down at all. And there is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in a subsequent chapter. Number 2, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There's no such thing as something for nothing. What are you willing to do in your career? Are you willing to make phone calls? Are you willing to talk to people that don't know who you are? Are you willing to be rejected 99 times to get one yes? This profession of selling is the highest paid profession that's out there. Being a professional salesperson is done on purpose. It's not accidental. You don't just walk out and become a professional salesperson. Now, an outgoing personality is a benefit, but there are techniques that you must have. You must train. If you got in the ring with the championship boxer of the world and you never trained, you're going to get your brains beat out. Well, it's the same way in the sales industry. You must train. You must feed your mind, your soul, with good information. You've got to be ready. You've got to be prepared to be successful. Number 3, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money that you desire. I'll be the first one to tell you that money's not everything. Matter of fact, money is very low on God's priority. The disciples turned to Jesus when Jesus said, how hard it is for a rich man to enter in the kingdom of God. And he related back to the eye of the needle. The camel to go through the eye of the needle. That story. And the disciples turned to Jesus and said, basically, hey, wait a minute, we've left all to follow you. And what Jesus was saying is that it's hard for a man that trusts in riches to enter into the kingdom of God. You see, money is matter. Energy changes matter. Your energy, your thought, your emotions can attract money or it can repel money. Faith and fear are two opposite, very powerful forces that you can bring things into your life. Job said, those things I fear came upon me. He pulled that into his life. Jesus showed you how to use your faith to change matter. That's the same thing with money. Money is a spiritual tool that you can use. Everything is denominated in money. You trade your time for money. Whether you're selling, whether you're working by the hour, you're still trading your time for money. Those who are smart enough to figure out how to maximize their income and have several sources of income we'll start to play the game really well. Yesterday, I was playing a game with my son called Sorry. Well, he was beating me really good. And he was going all the way around the board, and I just wasn't drawing the cards. I don't know what happened. Anyway, he asked me as we were playing, "So, Dad, what do you think of the game? Isn't this great?" And I'm thinking, no, it's not great. I'm losing horribly. And that's how life is. When you're losing, it's no fun. When you're winning, it's a lot of fun. If you will take these principles and write this information down and really study this and go back and listen to this over and over and over again and get this down in you, if you will get hungry for success, you'll get success. If you will look for it, you will get it. Oh, I was going to share something with you, and my book is over there. And anyway, Proverbs 25:2 says this: "It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter." If you don't care about your career, if you're not willing to fight, why should anybody fight for you? Do you deserve what you get? No. You get what you believe. Do you believe that God's for you? Do you believe that the universe is for you? I'm going to prove it to you that the universe really is for you, and I have to hurry with this. Number 3, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Number 4, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you were ready or not, to put this plan into action. Number 5, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name a time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate. Number 6, read your written statement aloud twice daily. Once just before retiring at night, and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money.
Come on, man. You know what you're made of. Get up. You got this.
From
Dallas, Texas.